Hello and welcome back to We Could Do It Better. I'm Grant Coven.
And
Jonah
I'm
was
Jonah
running
Maple.
really late, but welcome back to our 12th episode. Hold on, I did do it. Hold on, just give me one sec. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right, so Jonah, what happened?
I had to grab something from my room.
Okay, that's
so I'm in there.
fine. Well, glad you could make it. That was some real buzzer beater type stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna go straight into it because we've got a lot. Have you checked the doc in the past hour?
I haven't checked it yet today, but
Okay.
like even yesterday,
Don't go too far ahead because I want to say some things that will surprise you. So,
Okay, then.
starting off right off the bat, rest in peace, Val Kilmer. He did pass away earlier this week. His most notable role to me was Batman, of course, but he was also in Top Gun.
Tombstone,
Iceman.
Willow.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was really good. I forget his character's name in Willow, but it's one of the leads, and he's really good in that.
Yeah.
So that's very unfortunate. He was, I think, 65, which is too soon.
Although he did have some debilitating diseases, I think. So, I hope he's found peace, and now he's probably throwing batarangs with Adam West up in the metaphorical Batcave. Also, the Minecraft movie has a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and I'm going to refuse to see it. Why? Because I feel like they did not. I've been against the movie from the start. The first time I saw the trailer, I do believe you can do a good live action Minecraft movie. I do not think that this is the way to do it.
So I'm going back home for my birthday this weekend. I'm seeing a Pacers game and I'm going to a protest. But I've been considering like, oh, should I like it's like, oh, do I want to watch a movie, and like that didn't even like come into my consideration.
Yeah. So kind of sucks, but whatever. You can take it away with our, next.
Yeah. So
two.
we have a release date for the fourth MCU Spider-Man movie, and a title, which is Spider-Man: One More Day. It's supposed to be released July 31st, 2026. A lot of people are making like a really big deal out of this because One More Day is the comic where MJ like comes back and their marriage is restored back in the comics, but obviously like I don't think that they're gonna do that. And also I don't know, it's interesting, but I don't know. We have
I
release
thought it was
date
Brand New Day. Wasn't it Brand New Day?
Oh, I forget.
I'm pretty sure it's Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Oh, okay.
I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it's Spider-Man.
A lot of those names,
Brand New Day.
A lot of those names are similar, and and a lot of times like for comic stuff, like they just like want to refer to an old one, so they change. It's like one word. My bad.
No, you're good.
But yeah, we also Beyond the Spider-Verse has a release date of June 4th, 2027.
Which is about time.
Yeah, I mean it's still 2 years off, and if that happens, great. But they seem to be working out there are some stills.
Well, I was talking to some buddies earlier, and it's like the gap between Into and Across the Spider-Verse was 5 years, and even now between Across and Beyond the Spider-Verse, it's only 4 years.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully, just take their time.
It's just not nice because they left us on the biggest freaking cliffhanger at the end of Across the Spider-Verse, unlike Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse kind of had everything pretty much wrapped up into a nice little, neat package, and then they, with Across the Spider-Verse, it's just like, yep, multiverse stuff. The Spot is taking over. The entire Spider Society is still trying to nab Miles.
Yeah, it left us on multiple cliffhangers, so it'll be cool to see that. I mean, I obviously love Across the Spider-Verse. Is one of my, I mean, it's definitely like my top 10 favorite superhero movies of all time. I don't know if it's in my top 10 movies of all time, but yeah, it's really good. Obviously beautiful. They do some great stuff with the animation and from what we've seen so far of the stills.
Yeah,
it still looks like really good.
Yeah, no, it looks amazing. Up next in our Spider-Man news, Tom Hardy recently revealed that a Spider-Man and Venom crossover movie was so friggin' close to happening, but ultimately didn't because of the studio politics between Sony Pictures and Marvel, which I'm honestly okay with, because if you're gonna do Venom, don't make him as heroic as he was. If you're gonna do Venom, which especially with The Last Dance and a small piece of Venom being in what we're calling, I guess, the sacred timeline, I think there's a chance for a Venom to be malicious and an actual bad guy.
Yeah, I don't in kind of like go through that arc of change. I don't really have strong feelings either way. I mean, if you've watched this show long enough, or listened to the show long enough, you know that I don't really have strong feelings about the Venom movies in general, or really even the Venom character in the comics.
Yeah.
I like it sometimes, but I could see why that didn't happen. I could see why it wouldn't have been their top priority, especially after like the second, third one, where they kind of just, it's like, is it worth it sharing a bunch of revenue with Sony?
Yeah.
Or when we could just make our own movie.
Oh yeah. Also, we've got a Legend of Zelda movie being produced. It will hit theaters of March 26th, 2027. And I've already seen multiple sources say that they're planning on doing a trilogy, which will be cool. I did not double check to see if this was live action or not. I'm going to assume this is animation because I'm pretty sure this is coming out of the same place that did the Super Mario. Oh, no, it is live action, isn't it? Hold on, scroll back to the top of that article. It is live action. Okay, it is live action.
Which is sad.
I mean, you know, if it's well done, I won't care, but the Minecraft movie is kind of putting a huge damper on video game adaptations. Not to say all video game adaptations are bad. We still got The Last of Us, which is really friggin' good. But yeah.
Yeah. It is directed by Wes Ball, who he's directed a lot of stuff, but most recently Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I really liked.
Okay, well then maybe I do have a little bit of hope for this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, not everything is put in. It's not all, you know.
Right.
Like, good directors can make bad movies.
Of course.
He also made some not so great Maze Runner movies.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the third one, but the second one was very great. But I mean, if his most recent movie was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which was phenomenal, then I think that's a good sign. I think that's someone that you want to trust with your IP.
Oh sure.
Because that Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie had a lot of things. Like it had like a lot of hype to work against, because it just came off of like 3 excellent Matt Reeves movies, and like you also don't have Andy Serkis anymore. Yeah. So like I was very cautious going in, and I was very pleasantly not underwhelmed by that. Yeah. Movie. I was whelmed. So that's that seems like a good choice. Yeah. To pick that up.
Also, Halle Berry is in the final negotiations to return as Storm in Avengers Doomsday, along with, we've got kind of a second leak. Again, this is all rumor, nothing confirmed, but this is just what I've seen from this famous Marvel leaker that I've seen, who so far hasn't disappointed me yet. So we will get Tom Holland as Spider-Man, Charlie Cox as Daredevil, Chris Evans as mystery role. I'm placing bets it's going to be Captain Hydra. Jeremy Renner, huh?
Not Molecule Man.
I don't think it's going to be Molecule Man. I think Loki is going to act like the Molecule Man.
Okay.
I think so. We'll have Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. Damson Idris. I have no idea who he could possibly play. We got Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, aka Hawkeye. Chris Pratt will return as the legendary Star-Lord. Mark Ruffalo will come back as the Hulk. Sean Ashmore as Iceman. Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, which is interesting because she had recently gone on the record to say that she's not coming back for any more movies, but also Andrew Garfield has this whole thing where, you know, nobody believes him anymore. So, of course, Elizabeth Olsen has probably been told to keep her trap shut when talking about the involvement of her in this movie, because she died at the end of Multiverse of Madness. Also, Sadie Sink might make her way into this. I'm I'm really hoping that this is Firestar, not Jean Grey, because that would mean I don't know. I don't know. I feel like this should be Firestar. You got Tiana Paris as Monica Rambeau, Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, and Owen Wilson as Mobius.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy to see like some of these people. I think is great. I mean, I think just put Spider-Man, just put. As we've learned from Mendes, just put Spider-Man in all of your Avengers stuff.
Right.
There's no reason not to.
It all works.
There's no reason not.
And especially with Doctor Doom, and I assume there will be a part where Doctor Doom is unmasked, and you will see Robert Downey Jr. and just the sheer confusion of Spider-Man's face will be everything.
Yeah, like Spider-Man's just like the character that we like as a society connect with more than like there are very few characters as popular in fiction, maybe none that that people identify with as much as Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Also, I mean, as a huge Captain, actually I should say as a Captain Marvel fan, I think it's cool if the Brie Larson and Monica Rambeau stuff is very cool. I also like Hawkeye. And like the Hawkeyes, I think those characters are cool, both inside comics and in the movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would be cool to see those. Iman Vellani, Iman Vellani is missing from that list. Obviously, it's a leak list, so like even if it is true, then it wouldn't be complete. Which is interesting.
I mean, you did get some setup in Born Again, so Kamala Khan is still out there. It's just I mean, last time we heard, she's just on a trip in California with maybe Kate Bishop and Cassie.
I could also see why they'd want to keep that sort of character, like sort of the same reason why they used to not put Spider-Man on the Avengers, because this is a character that just does like street level stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's also too late for that now because she was in the Marvels. But who knows? It's not. It wouldn't be complete.
I'm excited to see Owen Wilson as Mobius if this rumor happens to be true. Because last time we kind of left him, it's just like, Loki kind of sacrificed himself for everyone. He's like, I'm gonna let time pass, and so it'll be interesting to see if he gets dragged out of his more suburban lifestyle, I guess, and somehow ends up being the head of the TVA, or I'm sure Hunter B17 or
I forget her name.
The one who was at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine. Maybe she'll recruit him to come on back. Also, we've got John Wick 5, which is now underway with Keanu Reeves to return, as well as an animated prequel film 2. The animated film will focus on the blind assassin Kane, which we saw in the 4th John Wick movie. Who's like really cool. He's played by Donnie Yen. He also played another blind character in the Star Wars movies, which I am blanking on. He was in Rogue One.
I know the character you're talking about. I forget it.
But he's really cool, and I mean, but Donnie Yen isn't blind in real life, right?
I don't know.
I don't think he is. So the fact that he plays blind characters is fascinating. Also, my seat keeps going down, and I don't know why.
No. I can continue.
Yeah,
How to Train Your Dragon 2, the live action, the sequel to the yet to be released live action one, which I think it's coming soon, right? It's very soon.
Yeah. It's I think it's this month, next month.
Yeah. Well, How to Train Your Dragon 2 has a release date of June 11th, 2027. I have no interest in watching these. If during the summer it's still playing and I have extra tickets and time. And,
June 13th.
And yeah, I mean, if in June there aren't any other, I mean, I think this up a lot. I work at a movie theater. I get a certain amount of free tickets every month. If I have extra free tickets, and if I have like an extra ticket, it's like I need to burn this because I'm, and there's nothing else out there that I want to see or that fits, then maybe I'll see it. And
yeah,
but I have no interest to, and I don't think that people should adapt live action animated movies.
I am in full support. I think there are so many untold stories that have yet to happen that we don't need remakes. I am kind of excited to see the Lilo and Stitch movie though, just because it doesn't look like it's going to be a full remake. It looks like they're doing some fresh spins on it, but I think for the most part, if you're going to do any live action that had an animated predecessor, make it a new story.
Yeah.
You
Just, or just like if you're one of those studios, just say, hey, we're gonna advertise, and we're gonna say, hey, watch Lilo and Stitch, the original one. We're putting How to Train Your Dragon back in theaters,
Right.
and the animation still holds up. You can still watch it. Like kids
Exactly.
will still watch it. From working at a movie theater, like I can tell, like these parents do not really care if the movie that they're taking a kid to is like new or like what's it or like really what it's about. It's just like, oh, this is a PG movie.
Yeah.
We're taking them.
Yeah.
Like this is, oh, there's an anime PG movie. Okay, this is what we're going to now.
Mm-hmm.
And like sometime in because like it's just like a thing to do on Saturdays. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but just try marketing.
Yeah.
You could just do re-releases.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they are re-releasing The Dark Knight in IMAX next month.
They do that like every year.
I know, but it's so good, and I haven't seen it in IMAX yet. So
Well,
I need to make that a point this year.
Well, I mean, I not in IMAX, but like at the movie theater I work.
Yeah.
There's like, oh yeah, we have like $5 tickets.
Yeah.
For Dark Knights, and I mean, people see it.
Anyways, up next we've got Sam Mendes. His 4-movie saga about the Beatles will hit theaters April 2028, so that's 3 years from now. But Harris Dickinson will play John Lennon. Paul Mescal will play Paul McCartney. Barry Keoghan will play Ringo Starr. And Joseph Quinn, or Eddie Munson, and Johnny Storm will play George Harrison.
So if I from what I can from what I've heard, these are 4 movies being released simultaneously, and each one
crazy.
Well, and each one is like from the perspective of each Beatle, and we also don't have. It's also weird because I asked and you said we don't have a Yoko Ono casting yet, which I think is weird. And she is.
I mean, we just got the casting announcement for the Beatles, so anything Yoko will probably be much further down the road, just because, like, of course you're going to announce the first 4 Beatles first. All the side characters, I guess, will make their way down the road.
Well, I mean, I think that she is much more interested in all of them.
Okay.
But I mean, that's also just like my personality, and like I think her art stuff is cool. And she also co-wrote a lot of John Lennon songs.
Yeah.
You're
right. No, you're right.
She co-wrote Imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all we've got for Multiverse of Movies for now.
Yeah, I'm not a super big Beatles fan, but I do think that
grew up on my parents raised me on the Beatles. So
yeah, I mean, I've obviously I live in the English speaking world. I've probably heard hundreds of Beatles songs in my life. I actually saw like a Cirque du Soleil Beatles one time. That was in Las Vegas. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
So I mean, like obviously like them, but I'm not like a huge Beatles. I do think that this is interesting. I know I talk bad about biopics sometimes, but I think that doing something but I think if you want to try to do something interesting with it,
this absolutely seems interesting for sure.
Yeah, there's no way I'm seeing all 4 of them.
Oh, I am. Oh,
I'm
gonna make it a whole day.
Okay.
I'm gonna start my day. I mean, it's like what, just going to school essentially, assuming that these are 1.5, 2 hours each.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I would happily, especially if they like try to time it where you can go back to back to back to back. I
might do that. Like I see like one each like a week apart. I don't want to see them back to back to back to back.
But then you get to knock it out all in one day, and then you just spend a whole day vibing with the Beatles. Like that sounds awesome to me.
Yeah.
So
moving on to Don't Change the Channel.
Yeah.
I put this here because I thought that it was coming out. I didn't realize it was coming until Friday next week. But Last of Us Season 2 is coming April 11th, Friday next week. I haven't seen any of the new trailers, but I'm super hyped for that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm scared. I'm really scared for this new season because I know you haven't played the game, but I know things. If they're adapting the Part 2 game at all, stuff is going down.
Yeah, I mean the people who made that show, everyone I don't know who the directors and writers and stuff were. But I mean, just everyone they obviously do a great job. Pedro Pascal, obviously, we love Pedro Pascal.
Oh, yeah.
Bella Ramsey, and that they were really awesome too. Just the whole set design and like the whole world that they built with that is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm very interested to see.
I love that world.
Yeah,
the whole world building was some of the best that I've seen in a long time.
And they did zombies really well.
Mhm.
Like they felt different,
Clickers, yeah,
and they felt like scary.
yeah.
And you like there were stakes, even though like I don't like these people, but yeah, and also just the final turn.
They're a threat. They're threatening because you've got bloaters, which are the big Hulk like monsters. You've got the clickers that are they're not slow by any means. They can be fast, and that's the scary part about it.
Yeah, because I a lot of times with zombie stuff, the zombie if you've seen enough zombies that look like the same, then they're kind of just not scary anymore.
Right.
But these very much are.
I could survive Walking Dead zombies. I could not survive clickers.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Walking. I need to read The Walking Dead, and then I'm going to see The Walking Dead because I know someone who has like all of like the trades.
Oh, yeah.
Someone one of my mom's friends, and I need to borrow it from her.
Yeah.
I've also like worked on campaigns there. Anyway,
we've got more Lanterns news.
Nathan Fillion is joining Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler as Guy Gardner on the Lantern show, which I already assumed.
Oh, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know how much of an outcast Guy Gardner was going to be when it came to the Lanterns. I thought everyone would be like, man, screw this guy.
Yeah, I mean, which is... I don't know. I'm super excited for that. I mean, I just...
That whole trio dynamic is going to be so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think either of them are like in my top 3 Lanterns. My favorite Green Lanterns are like the new ones. Joe and someone else. I forget her name, but anyway, I love all of those characters too. I think Guy Gardner is very interesting. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the Daredevil Born Again episode 7 review. This is gonna be a spoiler review, so feel free to turn off your radio or skip ahead 10 minutes if you want to.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start off with the real heavy hitter. Muse is dead.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff happened. That I mean, there's like a kidnapping. There's I forget the name of the actor who played Muse, but he played the boyfriend monster in Wednesday.
Oh, I did not know that.
And he was very good. He played like a scary Muse.
Okay.
He kidnapped Daredevil's his girlfriend.
Well, yeah. So yeah. Because essentially what happened is Angela De Los Reyes was recalling the events because the episode really started with her in the hospital telling Matt Murdock and her mom, I can only assume, about what it was like, and then Kingpin has been alerted that Daredevil is back, and essentially what we see from this episode is Muse was one of the clients for Matt Murdock's girlfriend, who happens to be a therapist, and in I guess his final session he lashes out and I guess he tortures her, I guess.
Yeah, I'm planning to do the serial killing routine that he's done with other stuff,
right?
With his other victims. I wasn't clear whether or not he had just read his book or like whether or not this was their first session, because he hasn't really appeared. Since episode 2.
I think it was implied that they have had sessions before, because Muse kept talking about how she's brought him out of his shell and how these sessions have really helped him, and she's awakened something inside of him. So like, I don't think this is anything you get from the first session. I think this is she's clearly been working with him for at least a little bit.
Okay. I didn't catch up on that. I thought it was like a parasocial thing where like because he did talk about reading her book.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was like, just reading your book. I didn't need therapy because reading your book got all of the insights you need. Which as a big therapy fan,
mm-hmm.
No, that's not how it works. if you need therapy help, see therapy.
Right.
Reading a book isn't. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Even if the book is by a therapist.
So-
But I mean, yeah, it was very interesting. It's a very tense situation. I think some of it came off a little weird. Just in terms of a little bit of pacing, just in terms of we haven't seen that character outside of his mask
That is true.
since
Really the book
episode
signing,
2.
right?
Yeah, I think that was episode 2.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you're right. But yeah, no, I mean it was really tense. I always kind of prepare myself in these situations, especially when like when Daredevil crashes through the window, and you've got the therapist who's bleeding out. You've got Muse, who's still actively trying to kill the therapist. I was thinking like, oh, this is going to go down in multiple different ways. But the therapist killing Muse was definitely not one of them. I was thinking, Daredevil, of course, was going to lose someone close to him again. He was going to kill Muse maybe, and then he'd be so gone and straight away from his faith, I guess. But yeah, so I'm happy with how the events worked out. I think it's fascinating that, they did kill off Muse, especially because I felt like there was a certain amount of hype around him before this came out, and I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't been as prominent as they made him out to be in the trailer.
Yeah, it is very interesting because obviously there's two main villains. I mean, he's like the secondary main villain of the season. After the Kingpin, I do think it's very interesting killing that character off outside, in episode 7 out of 9, there are 9 episodes left. That is a very interesting choice, but the way that they do, the way that they did a lot of this stuff in terms of, well, it was, what's her name again?
The therapist?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I kept referring to her as a therapist.
I'm terrible at character names. She's like a main principal character.
Yeah.
Anyway, it wasn't. It was her doing that, and obviously that was not we've known her. We know her personality. That's not something that she wanted to do. But also just she was very interested with the concepts of vigilantism,
mm-hmm.
and earlier she asked Matt hey, can you get me in touch with the Punisher and Daredevil?
Right.
And he's you want me to talk to the Punisher? You want to talk to the Punisher? And it's yeah. And he's that's...
And she's getting suspicious of him.
Yeah. There's some of that.
Yeah.
She heard his voice. I think it's unclear whether or not she knew that Daredevil. One in terms of just the suspension of disbelief, but she's obviously a smart character who knows Daredevil very well. It was but the other thing working against that is it was a hiding situation, so maybe she might not have recognized his voice. If that, my guess is that yes, she did recognize his voice.
I think, and I mean, come on, the bottom half of his face is revealed, and he has a beard. That's kind of the most unbelievable part about all of this is you saw the bottom half of his face. If at any point she holds a piece of paper up over Matt's head, and she's like, "Oh wait, you're the guy who's she could figure it out." I do think that she really could.
Well, I mean, I've come to peace with that in superhero media. I think that, so it harkens back to why the Clark Kent thing worked. Mm-hmm. The Clark Kent having glasses thing works, or people believing that people believing that Matt Murdock as in Daredevil, despite there being a ton of rumors that he is in the comics, is because they can't believe that a blind man does that, or they can't believe that or they can't believe that the well-mannered nervous country boy Clark Kent who ships over it's the idea of that is much more powerful, but also just in is I feel much more important than just the realism of that, because there aren't, but I could see that there being an in-universe explanation where just she was 100%, and she was almost bleeding out at that point, and it was a very heightened state. She was fighting for her life, so she didn't recognize with that.
I guess we should talk about the end of it.
Yeah, there's a final scene,
which we discussed this because we had watched the episode together.
Yeah.
Do we think that Vanessa Do we think Wilson Fisk was in on the fact that Vanessa was talking to this gang member?
Yeah, so we were going back with this, and we kind of disagreed because like through like this whole series, Vanessa has kind of been not happy with Wilson,
Right.
in terms of like having to put all of the crime business stuff aside,
Right.
for
Because
full
she's kind of
politics.
been, he's been pushing it aside for his
and
campaign and stuff.
and he's been pushing her aside.
Exactly.
And not just in terms of like the normal way that they do stuff with politicians, kind of like the West Wing stuff, where it's just like, you're not paying enough attention to me. It's like, no, I like being a crime boss.
Right.
I ran your operation for like a long time.
Yes.
And then now you're saying that I can't do this, and like that's not cool.
But like, it seems very unlike Vanessa to want to have Fisk dead.
Yeah, her characterization has always been a little bit weird, and I think by the end of like season 3 of Daredevil, I think this makes sense.
Yeah.
In season like 1, it was like a little iffy. Season 2, I'm just like, this character isn't even here. But like at the end of season 2, when she's fully just like, no, I'm 100% in on this crime stuff.
Right.
I want to be here because I like, not just because I love you, but also like I really think this crime stuff is really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting, and I think like whether or not like her desire to just like do crime stuff and just like not wanting to lose power, not wanting to just the stuff that she's so obsessed with,
Yeah.
like Wilson is, like her not wanting to lose that, whether or not that will overpower her. I think it has. I think that she didn't tell Wilson, but
Yeah.
who knows?
I mean, it will, of course, Fisk is always 2 steps ahead. So, he did have his, I guess, his new Wesley, defend him and ultimately shoot him while they were in the steak restaurant. But I guess that was kind of the real cliffhanger at the end of this, last episode. Do not scroll any further down from Game Over. I've got some exciting news, and I want to get your genuine reaction.
Wait. So okay, but okay.
You're scrolling down, Jonah.
Wait. This. I'm just seeing Game Over so that I can do the. Okay. Oh, sorry, no man. I read, so I didn't read all of it. Okay, we're gonna move on to Game Over.
Dang it, Jonah. That's
I
like telling someone not to push the red button and they push it anyways.
Well, don't tell me about the red button then. I just saw the word teaser. That's it. So you can go ahead. You have your Game Over stuff, and then I have some of my Game Over stuff.
All right. So first of all, Marvel Rivals is bringing in a Hawkeye skin, Ronin, finally, as well as a Lord of Asgard skin for Thor on April 4th. Also, okay, so today's April 3rd. I forgot to mention this earlier, but there is a small possibility that we're getting another Fantastic Four trailer tomorrow, with tomorrow's date being 4/4. I've heard a rumor that they might drop it tomorrow, but I forgot that, with April 4th, I should probably mention that right now. Also, there is a mini event going on right now, which Galacta has a board game, which rewards players with a free twerking emote for Venom. I thought this was a joke. They advertised this on April 1st. I thought it was, fake, but no, it's 100% real. I was playing it yesterday, and sure enough, I saw a Venom twerking in my lobby, and I'm disturbed. But yes, so you did look down and you did see a teaser trailer.
No, all I saw was the word teaser.
Okay, so yes, a teaser actually dropped around 10, I think, today. The trailer points to a new map being Krakoa, featuring a Hellfire Gala event.
Oh, that's cool.
Emma Frost will likely be the first playable character, and hopefully that means we'll get 3 to 4 other playable X-Men this season, just like how we got the Fantastic Four in this season. Currently, the story is, everyone's having a, grand old time at the Hellfire Gala, and then Ultron and his army are trying to take over.
That's interesting. I'm obviously, I'm a big X-Men fan. I've read like 350 X-Men issues. I haven't I didn't read all of the Krakoan era, but I did I read most of the beginning. I read the end, and I read all the Hellfire Galas. Those were so cool. They did so much cool stuff with politics and fashion, and the fashion was great.
Oh,
I hope that
it's funny you mentioned that because many characters are looking very dapper with new cosmetics to blend in with the Hellfire event. Wolverine, it does get his patch outfit, as well as a lot of more blue and yellow suits for some X-Men, like Psylocke.
Okay.
So it's looking like a lot of fun. I'm not sure if Ultron is going to be playable yet because you had a villain like Dracula for this last season and he didn't become playable. So I think Ultron will probably be a playable character, but I just find it interesting that you didn't make Dracula playable, which is fine. I'm not upset about it. But season 2 will begin on April 11th.
Okay. Oh, that's very soon.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that it?
That's it. You can,
okay.
Do your
We
thing.
have more Game Over stuff. So Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, which I didn't watch, but I've read the other stuff on.
Yeah.
Because I'm more of a Nintendo person than you. So it's released. The console is coming June 5th, I believe. The console itself is going to cost $449 with Mario Kart World, which is the next Mario Kart game, the 9th or 10th Mario Kart game, depending on how you count. With Mario Kart World, it's going to cost $500. If you buy Mario Kart World separate, it'll cost $80, which is really expensive. $80 for Mario Kart is wild, and $400. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining too much.
Right.
For a reason.
We're nerds. We're supposed to complain though.
Well, so $450 is a fifth. So that's a lot for a Nintendo product. Because so
I better get some really good graphics because the PlayStation 5 cost $50 more than that.
Yeah, and we'll get into that little. So that is a 50% price hike since in compared to the first Switch in 2017, which was $300. There has been obviously inflation since then. There's been 29% inflation, but that first off, that doesn't account for it, and second off, with technology, it usually stays around the same uninflated price, and it gets relatively cheaper. Computers, it used to be you could not buy a computer for over $1,000, and now you can only buy the super high end stuff. And now today, even high end TVs or relatively high end TVs are a quarter the price as a normal TV back in the 80s or 90s.
Sure.
Or I don't know if quarter is, but technology gets better and it gets relatively cheaper in compared to the things. But if you want to know the real reason why it is 50% more expensive, that is because of the Trump import taxes and tariffs. Obviously, I mean, if you know anything about me, you know I'm biased, but I've also anyone who has taken a politics or who has taken a public policy or an economics class can tell you this. There's a 34% tariff on Chinese goods and 46% on goods from Vietnam. So they obviously, if you look at a supply and demand graph, that doesn't mean that they make it specifically 50% more cheap, but they have to sell more products more products. They have to make it more expensive, knowing that they will sell less products. In order to make, because import taxes is included in, they have to take that into consideration for the production cost on the supply side. And the two countries where they produce the Switch where they have been making the Switch to are China and Vietnam. They originally only did it in China. But they switched over to Vietnam thinking that there would be less import taxes from there, but the import taxes in Vietnam are 46%, which is crazy high. I think that's it. And this is kind of weird because the Switch... Okay, so other thing, and a lot of the debate is whether or not this is worth it, because the Switch 2 is trying to compete in the console wars. At least that's the framing, because they're going to have a lot more higher resolution gameplay, or at least
they should, because I saw how Mortal Kombat 1 played out on the Switch and it looks awful.
Yeah, but with Switch 2, they want to try to have more third-party games like Madden, Borderlands, Hitman, WWE.
I heard Cyberpunk 2077.
The new Project 007 game, the Final Fantasy VII remake, and EA Sports FC, which is the successor to FIFA, to their FIFA franchise, which historically the Switch hasn't been able to handle those types of games, and this new one, like in Nintendo products, just in general.
Yeah.
I remember the Wii had Madden in 2K, but that was when Madden and 2K just weren't as like the graphics and like the gameplay was obviously very different.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll be able to handle those. If so, I think then part of the reason might be like that's why they're trying to that is why it's worth the new amount of money because but that is like very interesting whether or not they're going to be able to get people to buy a Switch for that because that's not necessarily the same customer base because like if you're really into like Madden or FIFA or whatever then you're going to want like a bigger console that can run it at a higher resolution. So I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. That's all I have for that. Also, ZeniMax Union, which is the union of Microsoft. This is unrelated. The union of Microsoft game workers have voted to authorize the strike. They are not on strike yet, but they have voted. Like over 90% of them have voted to authorize a strike if Microsoft continues to not come to the table. This is the biggest union in the game industry, and if they strike, they would be I think they would be joining the SAG-AFTRA voice actors for the game industry that are also on strike right now. But hopefully Microsoft comes to the table and they don't have to do that. Because otherwise, I mean, by all means, strike if you need to, but like also, unions don't want to strike; they want to get paid. That's enough of that. Sorry for bringing politics into it, but I'm reporting on why things are what they are, and like that is the reality of why both of these things, why this costs more, and why they are on strike. Because that's how unions work, and they're not getting paid and treated fairly. All right. We're going to move to Comic Corner. So why don't you... Actually, I guess I'll take it. I read the Power Fantasy number 7 by... I didn't talk about this. No, I read this after the show last week. By Kieran Gillen, Casper Wingard. This is my favorite comic out there right now. It's an indie comic about... I've talked about it before on the show.
Before on your desk, yeah.
Yeah, it's about... It's not really even a superhero comic. And there was like an essay at the end of the book because the writer at the end of the issue sometimes like writes essays and just like things that he's thinking about like while writing this.
Yeah.
And like whether or not this fits as a superhero genre book because it's about people who have superpowers, but in the context of this word, superpower refers to you have these destructive. You have the amount of power that is the same as the destructive. As the entire destructive capacity of the United States nuclear arsenal. And there are like 7 of these people. And it has kind of all of the trappings of a superhero comic, and specifically like a deconstructed superhero comic like The Authority or Watchmen or Kingdom Come and all of those stuff. But these people aren't superheroes. They don't save people. They don't like fight evil.
Yeah, there you go.
But I mean, it is very interesting. It's an interesting meditation on sort of like conflict and war and sort of the family dynamics that these people have to take. I would seriously recommend it. The first trade has been out for a little bit, and then the second trade will be. And then the second trade will come out in a few months, and that is my best thing. I also read X-Men. I'm also caught up on X-Men comics except for the one that has come out this week because I have been way too busy to make my way to in downtown Muncie. I've got a lot of stuff to do, but I read X-Manhunt, which was the most recent of it, and this Charles Xavier's daughter with Landra, the Shi'ar space Majestrix, who was no longer with us. A spoiler for X-Men Hunt. It's been over for a couple weeks though. She got she. Some people are trying to overthrow her. Some people are trying to assassinate her. And he's like, but he's in a prison for some, crimes some crimes he committed during the Fall of Krakoa era, and it's just like him trying to escape. And all of the X-Men are like, we can't let you escape because you've been naughty. You've been doing some bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about him trying to make his way there, and he tries to resurrect his wife Lilandra and trying to make his way there. Spoilers for the show. He does end up resurrecting. Spoilers for the event. He does end up resurrecting Lilandra, and they get on a spaceship and they make their way there and they say goodbye. And it's kind of treated as like, this is the last time I'm going to see you, my X-Men. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of like, okay, really? But this is supposed to lead into the summer event for Marvel, Imperial, where it's about a lot of stuff. There's kind of like the Hulks, I think, and in space politics. But at the center of it is supposed to be Charles and Lilandra's romance and kind of their story. And it is written by Jonathan Hickman, who you all know from Secret Wars and Ultimate Spider-Man and all that. So I think that'll be interesting. Overall, it was an okay event. These X-Men big crossover events are hard to pull off. Yeah. I didn't read every issue because I'm not picking up every issue of X-Men, at least not anymore. I had to cut down on my subscriptions. But overall, it is mostly written well. Like, the characters are written consistently. I've heard some people complain about Charles wasn't written consistently behind characters. I didn't necessarily see that, but I also didn't read the X Factor tie-ins, which was where most of those complaints were coming in. But I think that was interesting, and I also read last week's Uncanny X-Men issue, which was very good, and it kind of dealt with Gambit's backstory. Yeah. You've been reading.
Yeah. So I've been kind of reading both Man Without Fear and Daredevil Born Again right now, and I love it. I am loving this a lot. The thing is, upon reading this, and actually we talked, and I thought I was 75% through, but it looks like I'm only halfway through.
Well, there's a lot of stuff at the back, okay. So you are probably 75% of the way through, or at least 2/3 of the way through.
Okay. And what I've kind of gathered from this is, I almost wish I didn't read it because it's kind of dampened down my expectations for Born Again, because I think that this, and we did talk about this on Tuesday, but Daredevil Season 3 was pretty much as close as we could get to Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, it was kind of a spiritual adaptation,
right,
of Born Again. Like very few of the actual events happened,
right,
but it was kind of the idea of Daredevil's grand confrontation with King.
And the only way that this Disney, and I do not mean, I still love this Daredevil show so much, but they really should have taken the same tone that they have had with the comic book, because it is dark. I think that one of the last pages I was reading was Ben Urich was going to get a quote from someone who was on Kingpin's payroll, essentially. And while they were in jail, one of the cops just started blasting. And, luckily Ben was able to disarm, the corrupt, one of Kingpin's goonies. But it's dark. People in, Karen Page has a dark life. Matt Murdock is barely hanging in there. Yeah. It's shocking. And I was just like, Disney probably will never have the guts to, make something like this. This seems like something that would have worked out very well with Netflix.
Yeah. And and they did a lot of the stuff.
Right. But it's just seeing all of that, and it's, I mean, like, that, this is a beautiful piece of work. Like,
Yeah.
the whole Born Again story. It's so freaking good.
Yeah, it's Frank Miller at the height of his powers, and I think, in my opinion, his best artistic partner, and David Mazzucchelli, the person who also wrote Batman Year One, and they work really well together. I don't know if like this is necessarily like better than Dark Knight Returns, but the art in this is phenomenal. I mean, it's so good.
And it's, I mean, like, it's so dark. It's so dark.
Yeah.
And I love it because I'm a dark and twisted individual, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, there is some stuff like a lot of people don't say holds up very well. In terms of
I disagree.
So there is like a big fridging that happens in terms of Karen.
Sure.
But I would also argue that it's also weirdly, even though it is Frank Miller, it is weirdly progressive because it also weirdly it does treat addiction as disease.
Yeah. It does.
And like has like sympathy for her, even though like she does.
I mean, she outed Matt.
Like, she does things that like lead to bad things happening to Matt and the rest of Hell's Kitchen. But it's like, no, this is someone that you have sympathy for. She was doing this because she has a disease.
Right.
And I don't know. Frank Miller's politics is so interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I was hoping, because one of the most interesting parts I find about Daredevil is like, as someone who's agnostic, I find his connection to his faith highly interesting.
Yes.
And I feel like you don't get a lot of that in Born Again right now.
Yeah.
You got more of it in Netflix.
Yeah, they got them to do the. I mean, also like as someone who grew up Christian, so like I can like connect to like a lot of the stuff that Matt Murdock goes through in this and in Daredevil season 3, and like a lot of it is him breaking him down, taking everything away from him.
Because like part of this, like especially when he's getting saved by Maggie, it's like that is straight up from Born Again, like in season 3 of Daredevil, like when he's being saved by Maggie and Maggie doesn't tell him that, she's her mom essentially, and he knows she's lying. He knows it. Because he even asks her straight up. And it's just like this is the type of stuff where like I wish we could, like, I know that they're taking a creative spin on it, and I love it. And I guess we've kind of said some contradicting things about live action adaptations and how it shouldn't be completely retold. But this is gonna be probably one of my favorite reads of all time, is just because this is dark Marvel, and I love dark Marvel so much.
And it but not in like the sort of like Mark Millar way, which is like, hey, I'm gonna see like what I can. I mean, Frank Miller did get away with more in this than I've ever seen any other comic during the Comic Code. Obviously, this was like after the Comic Code got like reformed a couple times. Sure. But like, there's like some heavy that like stuff here like in like mainstream comics that like they don't really want to touch nowadays, even though they don't have any of those restrictions on them. Also, this has my favorite Captain America line of all time. I actually don't know whether you've got to this, but I'll say anyway. Where some like general's asking him to like question like his loyalty, and he says, "I'm loyal to nothing, General, except the dream," which is really cool. It is brilliantly written. The art in it is fantastic. I would recommend everyone to see it. Go ahead and I think that they have some copies left at but if not, then it should be on.
It's so freaking good. It's so freaking good.
I mean, Frank Miller in the 80s really was unstoppable. For all of his tainted reputation since then.
Yeah.
All right. We have some more things to get to. I also read Absolute Martian Manhunter #1. The new.
Oh, entry. How is that?
Yeah, it's a new entry to the Absolute Universe. It's the most unique one. I myself am a huge Martian Manhunter fan. So when they mentioned an Absolute Universe title, I was kind of skeptical, and I might have talked about this. Like, I don't know what you can, because the thesis for these Absolute titles is, okay, we take away something core about this character, like we take away Batman's wealth, or like Superman's, or like Superman's like home or like his we take away Superman's Smallville parents.
Yeah.
Or we take away like Wonder Woman's connection to Themyscira, and like seeing like how we can keep that core of the character intact. And like I don't see what you can take away from Jean, because like the most important thing to him, he's sad green Superman. The most important thing to him is his family and his like his society, that like has been erased in the fire. Like he had a wife and kid, and they died.
Yeah.
2 kids. It's like I don't know what you can take away, but they're going in a different direction, or it seems like they're going in a different direction. And it's really good. They're playing with form a lot. I don't really know how much like what exactly is a spoiler, but like instead of just being like a Martian, it's like an alien entity that like has invaded his mind, and like he's seen in John Jones, who's like who in this is the FBI agent. So John Jones isn't like a character that John Jones, the Martian, creates. It's like an actual person.
Yeah.
So far, there might be twists. There will be twists. He's an FBI agent whose like job is like reading people, but he gets like this alien presence called the Martian, called the Martian Manhunter.
Okay.
They call it something else on there using a word that I can't use on radio.
Huh.
But I don't know. It's very interesting. They're playing with a lot of stuff. It's written by Dennis Camp, the same guy who's writing the Ultimates right now in Assorted Crisis Events, and he's like probably like the rising star in the industry right now. Just where he's just playing with a lot of stuff and throwing everything at the wall, and I mean I think the Ultimates won like a lot of awards. Was a lot of people's favorite books last year. It won a lot of awards. Assorted Crisis Events I've read and has gotten a lot of praise. I think it's very interesting. Also the Javier Rodriguez art. I've read some other stuff with him too, and in the way that he plays with it is really well. I forget he does the art and the colors. The lettering is very interesting.
Yeah.
I do think if you kind of just want, I don't know. It feels like very European in the way that it plays with style.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the most, even though it is a big 2 comic, it's a DC superhero comic. It is probably like the most interesting one out there.
Yeah.
I also read the new Wonder Woman and Superman. I don't know if we have much time
Probably not.
to get to those. Superman stays good. The art in this one, it's Joshua Williams' thing. He keeps on being good at this. But it has my favorite penciler and inker duo, Eddie Barros and Ever Ferreira, and it was beautifully illustrated this time. They did some really cool action scenes and poses, and they're really good at drawing rain. Like
I did not know that. I mean, that's not really something.
It's a thing. Well, it's a thing. Like it's a thing. Like some people, like Jack Kirby, when he also had it, 'cause it's a penciler and an inker thing. Like the thing from Fantastic Four 51, this man, this monster. Where just like some artists are really good at, or some artist pairs are really good at drawing rain, and they're really good at that. I hope that they stay on. I mean, Dan Moore was great too, but I think he's busy drawing other stuff. And Wonder Woman is very interesting. It's the end of a plot, and they're bringing something that's like there's a character who's there in the first couple issues that just disappeared, and we're like, and we've all been for like the past year, with like, where did she go?
Yeah.
Did you forget Tom King? And then she's brought back. Obviously, the art's pretty good, Daniel St. Pierre, and it's, I guess, technically well written. But I don't know. I'm going to keep on reading it because it's Wonder Woman. But,
yeah. All right. Well, we've got only 3 more episodes after today. I'll have to double check. I can't remember if 8 and 9 of episodes 8 and 9 of Daredevil are a double feature or not. I thought I read something that they were. So there's a chance we might wrap up Daredevil next week, and if we don't, it'll be the week after. Hopefully we'll be able to break down more casting rumors for Avengers Doomsday, and maybe a trailer breakdown for the Fantastic Four next week. We'll also be able to review Marvel Rivals, and just kind of how the new Season 2 is going to treat us. But that is all we've got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you right back here next week on WCRD 91.3 FM. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank